everybody. Thank you for joining us at Midnight at the Crossroads. I'm Sean Sellers with
David Humphrey
and Jake Bell.
All right. You know what? It's been a fun night so far. I am actually full on chocolate cake.
It was really good.
And we're ready to go. Jake, how are you tonight, man?
I'm full of regret.
Are you?
Yes.
Well, I think we all are at this time at certain points.
Hey, why does it take so long to eat there now?
I don't know. It takes.
Why does it take 2 hours to eat at a local place?
Do you really want that answer?
It's good though.
It's good, but man, 2 hours?
It does take a while. You know, you asked a question at dinner tonight to the young man that you were sitting next to, and he said, "Do you believe in ghosts?" And he never really could give you an answer on that.
He's like, goats? I mean,
Goats?
like,
I believe goats are around here, but no, ghosts, I mean.
Ghosts, yes.
But the point is, I mean, that's a really good question. Something that we've always kind of talked about, and some things that we've given our opinions before, and people kind of attacked us on it when we given our opinion on ghosts, you know? Mm-hmm. And I can, in my personal experience, and this is just my opinion, we can all give our own opinions about this. I mean, I absolutely believe that your loved ones have those love bonds. They're always around you. I believe your guides are always with you. I believe you have certain connections. But at the same time, I do not believe in ghosts. I just don't anymore. I think a majority of the entities we're encountering, coming across, are thought forms. They're mimics. They fall in lines of like the jinn, and they take on the belief systems and the thoughts of the household and the location they're in.
And negative energy.
Yeah, that's not saying I don't believe in residual energy, because we've investigated enough cases that I do believe in that. But I'm talking about a ghost in the house. I'm not saying that you're not having activity, and I'm not saying there's not something going on, but I'm saying that I don't think it's a ghost, let's say.
Yeah, and we'll classify ghosts as earthbound human spirit.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the more and more I've thought about it and really diving back in the field again, that's just something I've come across, and we've had tons of investigations, and that's just something that kind of stands out to me. I just can't tell you one time I believed it. I mean, how about you, Jake?
Well, whenever we've stepped back and looked at it and not really told anybody and just said, let's see kind of what happens, usually it ends up being what they think it is.
Yeah.
So that doesn't seem possible. If you're dealing with a true earthbound human spirit, sometimes it's going to be there, sometimes it won't. But what is the chance that you kind of get something every time?
It's not
that
right.
Screws up your results. Yeah, it's and it being like, okay, you have a bunch of pagans go in, well, it's a tree spirit. You have a pastor go in, it's a demon.
Exactly. But
and it exhibits those signs.
Exactly. Yeah. And something that we're going to talk about more and more over the next few months coming up is that I absolutely, you start dealing with these mimics, it all ties together with the UFO phenomena, abduction phenomena, lost time, and the same thing when you start dealing with crypto creatures, Bigfoot, and so on. And the cool thing about our field and where we're at is that it's up for debate. Everybody can debate it, and it's okay if you don't agree with us. I'm just telling you what I've found over our years of researching and in the field working, and we've had our boots in the ground a lot of places and a lot of times. Hump, do you want to?
Yes. You know what? It's amazing that you come up with that topic at the top of the show. Everybody else, as soon as we started, because I took some time off this week and started really reflecting on where this I guess genre of paranormal researchers are going. And it's funny, we talked to the young man tonight about that, and he's in that 20-year under bracket. He's between 18 and 21. Well, let's say 18 and 20. And every time you talk to an 18 and 20-year-old, they have this opinion. So I said, man, I'm going to talk to about 15 people, different ages, on up to about 60. And it's funny, when we got to our age, 40 to 45, some of the views and conversation that I had with them is about the same way that I'm feeling about it, about ghosts and paranormal and negative energy, mental health, blah blah blah. But the question was asked, and I want to ask you, Sean, do you put your faith in the modern day ghost hunter?
No.
The modern day ghost hunters that are coming out. And I went back and researched a lot of Facebook, a lot of Twitter, because a lot of paranormal groups are on Twitter as their group outlet. And I just honestly do not put a lot of faith in a young paranormal group. And it's my opinion. It's David Humphrey's opinion. And I just don't, because when you ask them questions in the field, and so we hit 18 to 20, 20 to 25, and they're totally lost. And that goes into, I mean, do you think the metaphysical dangers of investigators is on a rise? And I started thinking, think about that. The metaphysical danger of a young investigator, you know, is it incline or decline? Because I think it's an incline, and it has to do with not knowing, not enough research, mental health, and just jumping in, and you really don't know what you're dealing with.
Well, I hope I can say this the right way, and I don't mean to step on any of our listeners' toes or anything like that, but let's say a majority of our paranormal investigators, right? I say a large amount of them practice some form of the occult. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, I agree. Now, if you say, let's say, if we go into a room with 20 people, how many of that 20 people you think practice some type of the occult, whether it's Wiccan, no matter what it is? And out of that 20 people, how many people you think practices something?
You know what, I'm going to be honest with you. I tried to do that this week with talking with people, and I couldn't put it in a bucket.
Yeah.
Almost half, because let me tell you something. It goes back to the damn show we had 3 weeks ago about churches, the decline in people going to church. People are lost, and people are picking up anything they can to make them feel good about themselves. Whether it's Islam, any type of offset religion other than Christianity, and we've all studied religions, all of them. Young people will find whatever they're comfortable with that makes them feel good.
Well, what do you think, Jay?
You know, I think a lot of people, especially in this age where they're used to having like Wikipedia at their fingertips and just whatever they want to search, neglect to study before doing. Whereas previous generations you didn't, because you kind of had that reinforcing because you didn't grow up with the internet.
Yeah.
With the internet, you can just kind of Google it when you're there. So, and I think you have to have a pretty concrete self-identity. So when you're younger, you don't.
Yeah.
And it's just part of that.
And I think if you start looking at that, out of all the different paranormal groups, I think there's still a few people that has a sincerity to want to learn. So they're in it for the experience and the knowledge of trying to find an explanation. And the fun thing that I remembered as a kid, and something like your vibe's off tonight, huh? And something that I still remember as kids, ever since we started, even when we started at the very beginning at Bear Creek Swamp, we had an innocence of searching for the truth. And today, 20, 30 years later, and even 40 years later, where we're at now, is that sometimes that search for the truth is that we know we can't ever find it, but it's still fun to search.
Well, that's part of the search.
That's part of the search. But we can honestly say that our experience and the knowledge we have is from actually putting in work and boots on the ground. And that's hours and hours of traveling, investigating, interviewing, and everything else. And I think a lot of the teams don't put in the work that needs to be put in to do that. And I think a lot of people are clouded by their beliefs. I mean, I'm gonna beg everybody, if you're gonna have a real paranormal team, you all don't need to belong to the same club. You need to have people from all walks of life, and it's always important to have somebody smarter than you with you. I mean, that's the great thing about a team and a staff, is that you surround yourself with smart people with different outlooks and different opinions, and that's how you can really search the truth and enjoy what you're doing.
But younger investigators, they're not even mentally prepared, emotionally, or spiritually prepared. These younger investigators, these 18-year-old groups on up to 25, they're not mentally prepared. I mean, they're really not.
But you know, that's a great point. But you know, I'm at the point in my life that I have come to the point that I used to sincerely believe that wholeheartedly. But when I was 16, I wasn't mentally prepared to do it. When I was 25, I wasn't mentally prepared to do it, or spiritually. When I was 35, I wasn't mentally or spiritually prepared. No matter each age, I thought I was. But as you cross certain lines, if you really invest in this field, you're never prepared about what you're going to cross.
It's really
But
something
you
can't ever be.
when you said that though, at what'd you say, 20, 25, 30, 35? You brought people along with you. That's boots on the ground.
Yeah.
You brought people around you to learn where these other groups are not doing it. You had preachers and teachers and nurses and people in the field, older people, younger people. That's we were educating ourselves at a higher speed,
Yeah.
having these people around. And if something went wrong, we would figure it out and try a different,
I think the biggest thing is learning to be okay with saying I don't know,
Yeah, absolutely.
because you get a lot of kids doing it, and what you see most of the time is, oh, it's a ghost, and then they react very, like there's a distinct line between it's a hobby, it's a fun club, and let's do this on the weekends, ghost hunt weekend, whatever they do, and trying to make it a part of your life. But for some reason we're all in the same bucket, and that's kind of not good.
But I go back to the first official real dark case I've ever worked, and I took our brother that passed away, James, with me, and me and James, we get to the house and we're waiting, and we actually went to the house with a real Catholic priest, which was, I didn't know at the time just how, I guess, unique it was. I guess it wasn't that for us to be able to go along. And I remember he blessing all the items we had on us. We wasn't doing going part recording. He blessed our recording. We was just kind of documenting what was going on. And before we walked in that door, and we've been there and investigated it, we've done some things, but James had, and before we walked through that door, the priest looked at us and said, when you walk through this door, you can never go back. And it never registered to me until this week, and I've used this past few weeks as I'm in transition to really meditate and get back to a lot of the things I used to do, and I start remembering things like what we talked about last week, and then I remember that day when he said, once you cross through that door, you can never go back. Are you ready? And I remember James saying, fuck yeah, because James didn't realize he was a real priest. He thought he was just like a friend of ours that would wear the collar, but yeah. And then when we went through the whole thing, and James got scratched as his incident, and we came out, there was a driver there for the older man, and there was somebody else, and James said, "Is he real?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Yes. And then James was humiliated, but he was also in shock for being hit in the chest from it. And to me, when I made that cross through, I went through a stage that I knew I could never go back, and then we hit phases of that where I've kind of been reminded of it, but I spent most of my years, I say the past 4 or 5 years, trying to not remember it, everything I've gone through. And I think it's important to remember it to go forward. And something else that I've come across, and I think it's really important, we had a case come up, I think last week or a couple of weeks ago, with a family was being attacked by some type of demonic entity. We spoke with them, and they practiced, one of them practiced, what did they practice, Hump?
One was pagan, and the other one was
Nordic pagan.
Nordic pagan.
Yes. And that's, if you look in this field, there is a lot of, I would say more than 70% of the cases, there you go, that occult influence, right? Mm-hmm. And I can tell you as all my years traveling and speaking, and all my years doing shows or doing our show or whatever else, I've never always been completely honest about things. When I say not completely honest, I don't mean I was lying. I was like, I would never really let the whole story come out. Yeah. But there's something that investigators, and like I told Jake, we're at the stage of our life, we've got to leave our mark and let people know what we found. And what I've known growing up, my experiences, is that when these covens, when these individuals create these thought forms, right? Think about this. How many people just from this field that we personally know, that does a type of work and creates thought forms? Think about it. Is it not pretty? All right, so and it's astonishing.
It's pervasive.
All right, now, if you create a real thought form, they have something that I would never admit, but it's absolutely true. They do think for themselves, and they do have free will. They don't have a soul, but they think for themselves, have a free will, and it takes on a personality.
There's a few ways to do it, and the absolute worst way to do it is the way you're describing, where you do it with just your mind,
Yeah.
because that takes part of your life force.
Mm-hmm. So,
That's what, am I wrong?
no, you're right. You're absolutely right. And that's something I always dodged around the thing about free will, because that's the greatest gift God gave us. But you're giving free will to that thought form that you've created.
Yeah, we're created in God's image.
So what happens to it? What happens to the thought form? When these people decide they're going to become a Christian now, that thought form does not go away.
Nope.
When that child is born, that thought form is still around their kid. People want to know why I'm having these mental issues. Why is mental illness affecting my family? Why is this craziness running rampant in this house? Why did I just commit and kill all these people in my house and I don't remember one thing? We're influenced by the unknown that majority of us have created with practicing in the occult. They don't realize they've done it.
Yeah.
They don't accept the truth. We can accept the truth. It's like being married, and I accept the truth that I don't trust my wife. But I don't accept the truth that she's a dirty whore until you're ripped apart. And that's the same thing we're encountering in this field, is that we're not accepting the truth that we play and we work, but we don't maintenance and we don't realize the repercussions and what these things are once you've done them.
Mental maintenance is just ridiculous.
I mean, what's your opinion on
You
that?
have to question
You know, I've
everything.
been in preachers' houses that are creepy as hell.
Yeah.
The energy's way off. You know, we knew a close one.
But we also know he practiced certain stuff.
Well, yeah. Oh, man,
Something's been on me since we started.
Yeah.
You know, you were talking about remembering things.
Yeah.
And I can't remember exactly what happened, so I'm going to rely on y'all.
Okay.
Do you remember when we were in the middle of a radio show? You know how we kept talking about the horns around the world? And we
Yeah.
heard a friggin' horn?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it wasn't a tornado siren.
No.
No.
What, did anybody
No,
figure
that
out
was,
what it was?
at Sean's old house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
That night. Remember, we went outside.
Yeah, we all went outside.
During the show.
That was creepy.
What was that?
We don't
Y'all
know.
We
remember?
don't know.
I remember that we was never.
But you know, there's been a lot of strange stuff.
Sorry to
Noises,
go off topic.
noises that have been in the news. What about the light circling that nobody knows? Did y'all see that?
No.
You ever see the light in a circle going back and forth, round, look like a UFO? You didn't see that?
Where at?
Here.
Here.
It was here in the United States.
Like Millbrook or what?
Oh.
No, it was up north.
Oh.
Oh.
But we have had so many personal experiences related to this field that we have completely blocked them out.
Yeah.
I mean, we have. And you know when we're out investigating these cases and we're being seen, and something that we used to talk about and we used to wonder that is there some mass connection of us being pulled into these dark cases? Is there somebody pulling us to these cases? And absolutely it was, but it was nobody of earthly presence.
Right, and something that, you know, we were reading the Mothman prophecies, he kept talking about was, it led me where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Like, when I was working on a particular theory, it would give me things that supported my theory, like
And-
whatever happened. So you have to question everything at the most basic level.
Because it happened to us.
Yeah.
Whatever was our theory, we got taken that way.
Yeah, and it's bizarre.
But is it not awesome again?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm at a point where I have a real enthusiasm for the field again. But my enthusiasm is I want to share what we know to people out there, and I don't care if you believe us. This is what we believe from our experience. And I remember we used to talk a long time ago when we all first got together. Is that I want us to be at a certain age where we can say, well, this is what we think, and we're finally almost there. But I'm not done. We're still in the field working.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that
We're just going to work differently now.
Yes.
It's hard to explain.
you have to work differently. I mean, because you don't need the ghost hunting equipment.
No.
You need pen, paper, and recorder.
Just honestly to organize your thoughts. Just
And go to
exactly
work.
like you do in the 50s, like John Keel did.
Yeah, that's all we need. That's all you need out there. And that,
Yeah.
you know, that's exactly where it's at. You know, Brad Steiger, everybody out there. That's just absolutely where it's at. And you start getting in like the light phenomena, the UFO stuff. I mean, it all ties together.
It's all the same thing.
I mean, it's an exciting time for our field, and you know, I can't tell you the last time I've really looked at a lot of other paranormal teams. I know our friend Nathan. We went to lunch with him a few months back, then we realized that they had some they're still out there. And David, what's the name of the group we have here in Alabama now?
It's under, hold on now, let me pull it up. AAPI.
And what does that stand for?
Well, let's see here.
I'm going to make things up.
Let me go back. I want to make sure I say it right.
And they're actually having events at Oklahoma in
Yes.
October, so please check that out.
It's under Alabama Paranormal Investigator.
Okay, yeah, go check it out. It's Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a really creepy, great place. So definitely check them guys out. And I guess we're all kind of a part of it, just in much as we can.
Correct.
But we'll see. You know, it's just keep trucking along. Now, Hump, did you have some other plans you want to talk about, or any other story? I know you got your pad ready.
No. Here was a question we got, and then we answered this. We've answered this in a few shows, but it is a good question. How about images in movies?
What?
You know, we went through this about 12 years ago when the
Which movie?
vampire movies come out. What do you think about images in movies and TV shows that are alien based? Because a few years ago, we went through a couple of years of alien based movies, and we used to joke around that they're getting ready, that, you know, the government or Big Brother, whatever bucket you want to put in, they're getting ready in case they come out. You're not to be scared about them, or
They'll never confirm or deny.
No.
No.
I think images are definitely seeds of deceit. They plant things in your mind, and it basically plants, and it makes you familiar with certain things, like the violence images makes you accept certain things, and I think that definitely plays a part in it. And I
You
think,
have to be very careful what you put in.
yeah, you've got to receive it a certain way so you
Yeah.
can let it out. But I think a lot of times we take in so much, and we almost get hypnotized to a point where we're basically slaves to the system in a lot of ways.
It very much does. You know, your media consumption does affect your train of thought.
Well, shit, that's probably what's wrong with America.
Social media can make you very...
We just talked about this at dinner tonight.
Yeah.
I know people that are coming off Facebook, deleting their accounts, and you know, they're sick of the news, they're sick of social media, and they're bettering themselves by that. Because, Sean, what's the first thing when you get up in the morning, do you look at your phone?
Yeah, I do.
We all do. I tried not doing it because I read an article saying now the first thing we do when we roll over to get up is grab our damn phones. And I was like, no, there's no way. And I
Yeah.
started watching myself for a whole week. What we do is when we roll over getting up is we get our phones, see what's going on before we get up to brush our teeth, use the bathroom, take a shower, shave. And we do it. We all are slaves to the damn media.
You know, we're at the point with our family when we eat dinner that we all, that's the only time we really put our phones up.
You're supposed to.
Because you can
Yeah.
create a conversation. You know, you got to talk. You're just going to sit there awkward. And you'll be surprised. I mean, I was surprised when we started doing that. Honestly, just how uncomfortable it is for a minute. Because you have moments of silence where
Yes.
you want to pick your phone up and like, I ain't getting my phone, you know? And then, but that's something now, it's second thought where we put our phones down and everybody's talking. But at first, it was really awkward.
All right, let me ask you something. Could you go 24 hours without your phone?
You know what? I used to didn't think I could, but since I've been getting back to grounding these past 2 weeks, absolutely. But if you'd have asked me that a month ago, I would have said never. Ever. Because I'd say, well, I'd have to be in contact with my kids, or I have to do this. But man, you know what? Once you start getting centered again and being able to, you have to be able to allow God to let you see above the clouds. And I think so many of us is sit in such a storm of life and so many dark clouds that we sometimes forget about looking above. And once you get down to your meditation and finally getting back to your roots, and I'm talking about real meditation, and if you haven't done it in a while, it takes a while to get back to where you need to be. And you're never, I mean, you're going to be knocked off, you know, but if you do it, start setting a tone where you're doing it daily again, and you're starting to do it to the point where you're grounding, your roots taking nest, and then you're actually seeing things. You're learning to dream again. You're learning to get these all the things that have been impossible starts to become possible. And I think we take all the restraints that the world gives us, all the weights and everything else that says you can't do it, you're this, you're that. You start saying I can do it, and then you start growing and you start bearing fruit again in different ways that you didn't think you can. It's almost to the point where when you wake up, not only your body, mind, spirit, but you are actually alive again. You get beat down to a routine where you want to be successful. You want people to love you. You want people to believe in you, right? And you do this so long, and you give so much of yourself day after day after day after day, and every day you go to sleep. And the next day you don't wake up. And you can go through life forever until you pass, or you can go through it to the point when you said it's time to stop. And you get back to the thing and you listen to the whispers. We always said angels whisper, Satan shouts, but they've been whispering the entire time until you stop and listen and you start making the impossible possible. Things change in your life. And I'm talking about all your aches and pains, everything. Life can continue, but it's up to you how you want it to continue. But once you start dreaming, once you start trying to achieve things, you will start dying spiritually, internally from there on. And that's the spiritual battle that must be won before you can help anybody else.
David Humphrey.
I agree. I mean, he's spot on. I mean, that's a problem with everybody.
It's been a problem with me. I'm preaching to myself because I went through that.
I mean, everything he says is absolutely the truth. You have to spiritually maintenance yourself, but it's hard. It's hard to get in that rhythm, and you have to train yourself to stay in that rhythm. You can get off balance.
Oh, you can. I was such a hot mess. I'd never realized just how asleep I was. I mean, I was asleep, and I had to struggle to even be awake at times. And when I say I'm awake, I'm functioning, I'm doing things, but I'm talking about spiritual-wise. You know, it's almost like that they had to be a flood to replenish the soil again. And that flood and everything I've gone through, personally with my life and everything else, I had to go through it because I wasn't man enough to go through it on my own. So God said, "Here you go. You want to do it this way," and then you're able to go through and you get grounded again. And you gotta live that life. It's so important to live that life by going after your dreams. And no matter what it is, live. You're not going to do without things. You might lose the material stuff. And you know what? I've had, all the things I've lost, it doesn't bother me at all anymore.
Should. It's not worth it.
And as I say this, the naysayers is not going to go away. I've even had somebody tell me even today that basically hint that I'm a disappointment. I'm not where they thought I would be.
I wonder who that was.
Yeah, exactly. But as I thought about it, of course it bothers you, but at the same time, it reminds you that you're in a fight. You're in a fight to continue going forward.
It always just reminds me about how other people value material stuff so much.
Yes.
To where they measure you as a person by your material wealth. And that is wrong.
Yeah.
Because maybe you made decisions where you didn't care that much about material wealth.
And I don't anymore.
I don't. I never have really.
I have, but I appreciate our Thursday night dinner.
Yes.
I appreciate
that
our
made
time.
me angry right there.
What's that?
I'm angry now.
Yeah, that means.
No, I am. I'm angry. Are you kidding me?
No, sir.
Somebody really said that?
Yes, sir.
And you didn't drop an F-bomb?
No.
David, you know who that
No,
Huh?
I did not.
You know who that was.
We can talk about
Oh, I know who it is. It's just irritating as shit.
but
But it ain't nothing you
It
can
makes
do
me
about it.
angry. I know that. I'm just saying I'm angry about it because that's the whole fuck I'm in because of shit like that.
yeah.
It's just
And
a
it
reminder.
goes against what we just said. about maintenance and all this, how can you have somebody? This is the beef I have. How can you have anybody supposedly care about you, love you, and go say something like that to you? Man, that's where I'm bottomed out.
Dude, it's just a
with that.
reminder of what you don't want to be.
Yeah, and people, let me tell you, people love you the only way they know how.
That's
and,
not love.
and if they don't love themselves, they
Man.
can't love
You
anybody.
got to make peace with it because it
You
ain't
gotta
gonna
love
change.
yourself, yeah.
You can't change it. The only thing you can change is how you react to it.
You know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I don't know why this always stands out to me, but it rings true to everybody listening, everybody in this room. You remember the original Herbie the Love Bug?
Yes.
And you remember at the very end when one of the last things, the Chinese man,
God, not that quick.
the Chinese man says, you know, at the end of the book, you close the book. Now, a lot of us will stare at that end of the book
That's pretty awesome.
for forever and ever and ever, and we will not close the book.
You got to close the book.
You got to close the
Let
book.
it go. Say bye-bye.
Yep, gotta close. And you know what? It's so silly if you think about Herbie the Love Bug that has that message, but it did. It
Well,
was
those old movies are kind of cool like that.
yeah.
Well, those old movies had meanings. That they were subliminal meanings.
Yeah, I need to watch. What is that one with the Invisible Rabbit?
Oh, I love Harvey.
Harvey. I need to watch that Harvey.
You may tell y'all something I want to do, and since it's weird. You know what? You talk about synchronicities and like us being on the same wavelength and stuff.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to write a play, right?
Yeah.
But I've always also wanted to do theater, like teach theater, direct it, right?
Mhm.
I'm trying to bring in community theater to Coffeyville. And Harvey was been in my mind, was the
Oh,
first
boy.
play I want to do.
Can I be the Invisible Rabbit?
Could you imagine me directing that? But that's what I wanted. And you mentioned Harvey. It's
So
crazy you mentioned that because in my mind that was the first play I wanted to do.
Local theater is big in these smaller cities. They have it here.
Yeah,
They have it here in Milburn.
it's great. It's great for communities.
Yes.
And you can't do it to make money, but I mean it's great to do it. And Harvey is weird. You said that. That's what I want to do is the play with
Well,
Harvey.
it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
I mean, it's out there, and think about it. How many of our people that take time to listen to this go to work every day, they're beat down, they're tired, they're unhappy, they come home, at work they're not appreciated, they're not thought well of, they come home, they get the same feeling. Then they think back what they always wanted to do. Then they go back to their past and start thinking about, should I have done something differently? We keep going back deeper in our past and we're never going forward.
But Sean, that's middle class America. That's our age middle class America right now with every walk of life.
It's people making decisions based on stability and not happiness. And that's kind of the story of America. Like, you do need those people to make, everyone can't be like hippies and just do what they want and be free spirits, but you do have to compromise in a way that's, you're going to be okay, happiness-wise. You have to think about it. A lot of people just go, well, it feeds my kids. That's not good enough, man. Not in this day and age. You can do something. Because if I can find a way, y'all can find a way.
I mean, we was talking at dinner tonight and about things, and you talking about you have to have this much to do this.
Yeah.
You have to have that much to keep the quality of life you have, but it might not be the quantity of life you need in your soul and your life. It's keeping you there, but it's not not fulfilling what you need.
It's better, trust me, it's better to be happy to wake up every day than have something nice. It's just not worth it.
But what's nice? You know what? I tell you,
I'm fine with
the
my little
simplicities
crappy
of things
duplex.
that I used to miss. Like when I was down in New Orleans with Tyrus, we were just walking down there talking.
Yeah.
That's a simplicity that maybe I used to not appreciate as much as I should have. And I think that's what we got. You got, like I was talking to you before the show came on. You have absolutely forgot how it felt to be happy amongst your brothers. Because I have too. I did too. There wasn't nothing I could do to ever feel that feeling again. And now it's like such a load off my back. And and that happiness out there is there for. I mean, your happiness is right there. It's like you're sitting there and a big fruit trees all around you, but all you got to do is reach up and pluck them. That's all you got to do. But you won't reach up. Now you'll reach down and help everybody else out and pull them up above you, but you will not pull yourself up. And that has been a problem for you since you've been a damn teenager.
Oh, I agree, but I'm not helping. Hey, I'm done.
But you got to help yourself.
That chapter is done and over with.
Got to help yourself.
I am. I'm doing all for myself. I'm
really,
doing all for myself.
You would
from
be
now on.
surprised about the luxuries you would not miss. You'd be surprised what you can do without.
You know, you can.
Maybe.
You know what? One of the things I've learned
And
about.
I know what you're thinking, but what about the other people in your life? Yeah, I don't know, man.
No.
That's up to y'all. But I'm telling you, as you
could if it's just you on your own.
You would
but when
need
you
as
got a
much as
family
you
to
think you do.
support and you got a family to take care of,
and I think they'd rather have a happy David.
You have to look at all the. You have to look at it from different angles.
I'll tell you this: they'd probably rather have a happy David than those fancy hot dogs every night. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you know what? Here's
Like
the
it's way
thing.
more
Telling
than
you.
that.
No. Here's
I have to boil it down to a simple point because this is only.
Well, I mean, yeah.
the time I've had with my boys recently is time. I realize what breaks my heart is I spent 3 years in a place, or 4 years in a place, right?
Mm-hmm.
With them right up under me every day, and I never took time to really know them grow, see them grow, mentally, physically, and spiritually, because I was with them in the same room, but I wasn't with them spiritually and physically. I mean, it was
too
just.
preoccupied with how miserable you were.
Yeah, I was, and I missed all that, and just getting back to the basics, and it's mean stuff again, and I got such a realization about just how cruel and dirty somebody can be towards somebody, and a group of people, a community that took, and never once. I never wanted anything but thank you. Not even to thank. I don't know what I wanted, but I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe people could treat you like that. But I let them do it. Mm-hmm. You allow things happen to you. You allow these things to happen.
Yeah.
But that's the new America. That's the new way to do business. That is the new way of everything. That nobody wants to give you a thank you for nothing, and they want to take, and that's the problem that we all got. Every guy that I know that's our same age has the same problems because we've been dealt it. It's always like that. It is always like that, and it's just how it is. And all you want to do is a little thank you. You want to feel appreciated, that somebody appreciates what you do, and we're not getting it as middle-aged guys.
You know what makes that happen?
What?
You got to work inward out, son. You got to take care of here, because once you start carrying yourself like that here,
I agree with you. You got to work. That's internal.
And
That's
that's just-
self-maintenance.
and you know
we
what
talk
makes
about
that?
that all the time. Self-maintenance.
you gotta. I'm telling you.
But you didn't listen to what Sean
sit
just
down
said.
with your people.
He went through 4 years of that.
Yeah.
You can only go so long like that.
And I think there might have been somebody in his ear the whole damn time telling him to frickin' quit it.
But I didn't think I could. I thought I had to take care of my family. I
Yes,
thought I had
you
to
did.
keep my word as a man to a community. I thought I had to do all these things, and at the same time, I never did. It was all a mirage. I never had to do it. I mean,
And what did it cost you?
it cost me everything.
Yeah, but look at where you're now. Though you're in a way better place now.
Because you had to learn the
but I
lesson.
had-
Across the board.
I didn't have a choice to get there, and I'm still not there. But here's the thing: I'm unemployed. I ain't got a job technically. I'm not getting paid right now. I'm unemployed. And I'm happier than I've ever been.
Because you're in a good spot. You're in a very good spot for where you were 4 years ago. You're in a way better place. I mean, that's what we're talking. The whole show's based on.
So, like what?
You're self-maintenance now. Your maintenance is a lot better than it was 4 years ago.
But let's go back 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I would sit there, and I didn't even like my job then, that job. And I said I couldn't leave it because I made so much money, right? Then I took this other job, and I changed up, tried to do right. But there I made so much money. If I told anybody in this room or listening how much I'm gonna make, everybody would laugh. You make more money working full-time at McDonald's.
It's not about that.
But it's okay.
It's not about that.
Because I believe I believe God's gonna bless you if you do things right.
I agree with that. I mean, and it will, but I mean, you're cut out for coaching. You're cut. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to coach kids. That's what your goals and that's what you should be doing. You left the insurance business to coach kids full time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your calling. That's what you're supposed to do.
Sure?
Everybody's totally different, and you have to find your own way and what you're good at to make you happy. And you know what? They could give you $5, and you would go coach kids, and that's what makes you happy.
You know,
So what makes you happy, man? What would you want to do?
Yeah, what would you, if you could do
I don't
anything,
know. I'm working on it now. I'm really trying to
What
work
do you like to
on
do?
where I need to be.
what would make you happy?
I don't know.
What?
I mean, right now I'm having to work on it's self-maintenance, working on what I need to do.
What can you wake up every day and do and not feel horrible
Millions of different
about
things,
it?
but I really don't know. I've got my hands in so much now.
That's the answer.
I got to figure out what I want to do, because we're almost at the end of our days. I mean, seriously, if you're not getting healthy, staying in shape, which I think we are pretty well good in shape. I mean, I really do, because I saw some of our classmates that look like they're 90 years old, and then ran into somebody that's 10 years younger than us that's in the hospital all the time, sick.
Well, I hadn't worked out in 2 weeks.
But you will when you get on a football field. That's what we're talking about. You'll lose 15 pounds in 2 weeks.
I mean,
because you're coaching college football.
but you know,
But everybody's different, and everybody has to find that self-maintenance. And I'm just having to start back over, because you have to meditate. You have to take care of yourself, mentally, spiritually.
You keep looking at it as starting over, and it's not starting over.
It's not a start over, but it's a kickstart to your self-maintain.
Dude, everything is about perception.
but here's the thing: a lot of people listening does this. You think everybody's listening. You can't go out and buy $1,000 worth of candles, a $25 spell book, and all this stuff, and think that's gonna fix you.
No.
The only way you're gonna fix you is by sitting still and getting in touch with your inner self and going from there, stripping yourself down and beginning again.
But
you are starting over in a sense, but you're not.
So
What you're doing is
You're
going to the
building
next
upon a
phase.
foundation.
But you know what? If you were to talk to some 20-year-olds to 25-year-olds, they think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling y'all about earlier in the show. 25-year-old kids think that, hey, I can go to Amazon, buy this book. Hey, I can do this.
Yeah.
It don't work that way.
But what kind of advice would you give if there's a 20-something-year-old kid and his friends, and they say, we've started a paranormal team? What advice would you give them?
What I would go back to what we did when we were 10 years old. I'd go back to simple recorders, chalk, Hot Wheel cars, and start out simple and basic and get really good at it. And then, I'm not big into the tools of it. I was watching, have y'all seen the Bigfoot show?
Yeah.
Where they went to 4 different states that were, all together looking for the Bigfoots. Had all that thermal camera and all that shit. I'm not into any of that. I'm into the old-fashioned sit, listen, document what you hear, using simple stuff, a ball, a card, chalk, a simple recorder.
I don't care what anyone says, but Sean Sellers calling a Bigfoot is hilarious. With a baseball bat.
I'm into the simplicity of this field. And I like hearing stories. I love storytelling, I love hearing about a good story, a good historic place. I like all that. You don't have to wine and dine me with, 16 cameras setting up, the FLIR imaging. I mean, all that. I mean, really.
What would you say, Jake?
Don't take what you think you know for granted. Basically, never allow yourself to lock into any particular theory or something, or be completely okay with not knowing. Go from there.
It's happened to us.
Yeah.
You have to bring everything back to its most basic.
What would you say, Sean?
My advice is simply enjoy every aspect of it. The fellowship, the traveling, the places. Get back to what you can imagine it to be. Make it simple. Don't go out there and try to impress anybody. Just go there and appreciate everything you do, and work hard and draw your own beliefs from your experiences. Keep it simple.
Jack Daniels.
And Jack Daniels. But let me tell you, you know what I enjoyed most about all of our years in that I loved our fellowship. I loved our times traveling, and that we traveled all over. I mean, and those moments I wouldn't trade for anything in the world, And you go back to our time with James, our time with Chris, our time with Judd. Those times means the world to me, and I don't want anybody starting in this field at a young age not to appreciate the people they do this with, because once you encounter certain things and cross that line with each other, you share bonds for the rest of your life, and on afterwards.
Agreed.
You have to respect those bonds, yeah.
So here's the thing. We started out for the show tonight really worried about if we we're going to have any topics.
You're okay. We can always do this.
We've done pretty good, isn't it? Do you have any other questions for the night before we wrap it up?
The only thing I do have to say is, if anybody listening has a question or needs a reading or wants to ask about an investigation, inbox us on Facebook, and also add our YouTube channel, Midnight at the Crossroads Radio Show.
Subscribe and hit the little bell.
Subscribe.
thing.
Hit the bell. Subscribe. Hopefully this show will be loaded up by the weekend.
Yeah, this weekend.
And like I said, if you need something, just inbox any of us.
Hey, we appreciate everybody listening. We love you guys. We hope you enjoy our show. Have a good night.